Can you hear my voice?
Yes.
Is my voice clear?
It is.
Sorry again, Dr. Hussein.
No worries, no worries.
Can you hear my voice?
Yes.
All right. Is my voice clear?
It is.
Sorry again, Dr. Hussein.
No worries, no worries.
Can you hear my voice? Okay, I think now all the technical issue is done now. It's finished. So I don't want to take more time, Dr. Professor. Anyone have any question, please, you can ask Dr. Professor Hussein Abdu after his presentation. You have two types to ask Dr. Professor Hussein. You can share your you can write your question in the Q&A below the screen, or you can you can raise your hand and we'll take your question one by one after Professor Hussein presentation. Professor Hussein, you have 45 minutes for your presentation, and then we'll take 15 minutes Q&A question. Thank you again for the technical issue. And Professor Hussein, please, the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ahmed. Colleagues from all over the world, thank you so much for attending. I have chosen this topic actually in contemporary fintech, and it's a recent topic attracting a lot of attention all over the world. And I wanted to shed the light on how DT, digital transformation, and sustainability in relation to SDGs as well can reform the financial industry through fintech. And I believe this is very important, not only for researchers, for PhD topics, for research. It's also important for industry key players like bankers, people who are working in financial industry in general, interested about technology and how technology can reform the current existing financial services platforms. In today's presentation, I will give a brief background on my background in academia and in the real field and industry. And I will try to discuss with you differences between the traditional fintech views versus the sustainable views, and how sustainability can reshape the current existing fintech. How fintech disrupting financial industry and financial sector, that's very important. And I believe they have moved from being disruptives to the maturity phase now. They come out of age, I believe so. We'll discuss as well key areas of fintech, which I believe very important for researchers. Each one of them could be a topic for PhD, or could be a topic for a research paper, for example. The state of Islamic fintech as well is very, very important and crucial, as it has grown so fast during the last decade. And more importantly, how we can create a sustainable fintech ecosystem, discussing the key drivers. What's the future of fintech? And I will shed the light on some case studies and success stories all over the world with my main takeaways at the end. So as Dr. Ahmed kindly introduced me, my background is in banking or finance, in particular applying artificial intelligence and machine learning into finance, banking, and accounting research. Whilst my background, my professional background, is in building scoring models and providing professional training courses around fintech, how fintech disrupting the industry, building scoring models, Islamic finance, big data analytics, and business analytics, in a number of countries. Over the past 10 years, I've published over 50 referee journal articles. I'm editor-in-chief for a journal, which is Cogent Banking and Finance, and editorial board in a number of journals, referring for nearly 30 journals all over the world, and a member of professional bodies all over the world as well, like the Risk Management Association and the BAFA and EAA in Europe. Deliver a number of keynote speeches as well around technology and how technology can reform the financial industry, including DIFC 2020 and 2021 and Al-Paraka in 2020 and 2023. So moving forward, in simple terms, what's fintech? You can tell clearly that fintech is the use of technology to develop innovative technologies, and developing innovative technologies in areas like online banking, payments, big data, even risk management. And it is a contraction between finance and technology. So in a more simple words, it's the use of technology to improve and automate financial services. Going back 20, 30 years, we used to have banks. We used to go to the branches and ask for financial services, long queues. Nowadays, it's a completely different story as fintech has stepped into our everyday life, everything we do. On a recent study, they have investigated how many of or how frequent are millennials or Z generation are going to bank branches. And they found that young people, millennials, they go to the bank once every 6 months or 7 months, which means they are dependent on technology. Smartphones are changing the whole story. I can't imagine anyone now doesn't use his smartphones for payment, exchange, even for research. Everything is digitalized nowadays. So as I said, use of technology to improve and motivate financial services is the fintech, is a very simple expression for fintech. I'm afraid this is outdated, although the fintech ages and attracted attention over the past decade. It's still young. However, this definition is outdated as people start to talk now about sustainable fintech. And for those firms who embrace sustainability, there are enormous opportunities to advance new products and services and to meet customer expectations. And I would like you to focus about customer expectations, because this is the main and key driver in changing financial services. So in my point of view, fintech can play an essential role in creating and meeting and achieving the UN SDGs. For example, low carbon economy, providing services to underserved population. In recent research as well, I was reading that around the world nowadays, there are 31% of the adults worldwide are unbanked. And if you add children and the overall population, 70% of the world population are unbanked. This gives you an idea about how enormous are the opportunities for sustainable fintech to achieve the UN SDGs, for example, affordable and clean energy, SDG 7, decent work and economic growth, SDG 8, and advancement of climate actions. Actually, green finance has hit the whole world nowadays with accessible housing, access to healthcare, low carbon economy, preventing from pollution, all these projects where we have the benefit not only to achieve or have profits, but also to impact on people, on planet, on economy. Examples of those companies who have hit the world nowadays with sustainable fintech, Trine. Trine is a Swedish company, existed back in 2015. They use green finance and they use B2B platforms to power solar energies. So they have an approach which is a win-win-win. They fund loans for solar panels in emerging markets, for example, in South America, in Asia, in Africa. And then they use these loans to benefit people, to benefit the planets through the solar energy projects. Meotic as well is a company found in Hong Kong. They have branches in other cities as well, but they utilize artificial intelligence to solve climate changes and the ESG, which is environmental, social, and governance issues. CO2X or CO2 Connect is a Singaporean company, develops solution to provide SMEs with accessible green financial products. This is only a few examples of how companies now start to leave the conventional side of fintech and move to a more sustainable side of fintech and link it to the UN SDGs. So in different terms, we believe that technology can be used to measure the impact of green financial products, whether it's loan investments or bonds, whether it's a sukuk for Islamic finance, for example. And this is in two sides by firstly verifying the anticipated green impact of the product, and secondly, dynamically adjust financing conditions. And this definitely, like I said, will impact on the environmental, social, and corporate governance preferences. So in my point of view, embracing sustainability is crucial for the success of fintech. And fintech could provide digital financial products to support the SDGs. So in other terms, there is a necessary marriage between technology and sustainability. If we look to the size of data, which will reflect the digital transformation worldwide, as per the records in 2023, current year, it was 120 zettabyte, and it is projected to reach 181 zettabyte by 2025. Just to give you an idea how large is a zettabyte, 1 zettabyte equals 1 and 21 zeros next to it. You can imagine how massive, how large the size of data worldwide nowadays. And reflecting the digital transformation, I believe it's shaking the economy now worldwide, not only in Gulf, not only in Europe, in America, but worldwide. And clearly the COVID pandemic has provided more opportunities, not only for financial institutions, but for fintech providers. You can tell that digital transformation was projected last year at 1.8 trillion US dollar, and it is expected to reach 2.8 trillion by 2025. And financial service provider introduced new technologies, adapting exaggerated changes to the process and culture. And as I said before, all these to meet customer expectation and needs. I believe this is a hot topic. And if you think about how customer expectation can reshape and introduce new financial products, new technologies, you will see the point exactly. When you talk about human behavior, you can't predict human behavior that easy. You can't predict how they think in the future. You can't predict how the new generation will be thinking. And this will require a lot of work from fintech providers, financial service providers, conventional counterparts like banks, for example, to think clearly how they can meet their clients and their customer expectations in the future. Just to give you an idea about how the global fintech industry is growing as per the statistics last year, the most recent statistics available so far, 75.2 billion is the total fintech funding. Although it is down by 46% year over year compared to 2021, however, it's 52% up compared to the figures in 2020. I'm not going to go through them all, but just to give you an idea about how large is the industry worldwide. 81 is the InsurTech merger and acquisition exists, which is 40% up compared to the 58 InsurTech merger and acquisition in 2021. But if you look at that figure here, you will see clearly that the 75.2 is up compared to the number in 2020, which is 49.3. However, it's down below by 46% compared to the number in 2021. So clearly, fintech is disrupting financial sector. All over the world, can you imagine currently there are 32,000 fintechs with over $500 billion in funding. And they have attracted 20% of global venture capital investment since 2019. And if you talk about the crypto-focused fintech, which is using blockchain technology, notably, they attracted over $50 billion in funding during 2021 and 2022 only. And as per 2021, fintech accounted for 9% of all financial services valuation in a worldwide level, reaching 1.3 trillion. All these statistics show you that there is huge competition. They are disrupting the financial sector. And for conventional counterparts like banks, they need to work closely with fintech to survive. In the UK, for example, there are around 2,500 fintechs with over 6.6 billion British sterling in revenues. 1/3 of them are located outside of London. Examples are a lot, like Revolt, which is providing banking and financial services via their app, Canny Payment, which is a software as a service, Wise, which is use money transfer services, and so on. So a lot of examples actually. When we move to MENA, in MENA region, there are currently approximately 800 fintech companies with 15.5 billion. And this reflects its emerging status as a fintech powerhouse. And key area, for example, you can tell is digital payments, B2B, lending, remittances. And some countries have created this regulatory environment to control and to watch from a distance the fintech companies' growth, like SAMA in KSA and CBE in Egypt, for example. So the conclusion here from these definitions, from the background and the statistical growth of fintech, they have moved from disruption to maturity. They have come of age. They are no longer disrupting industry. They become mature firms who can survive and compete with conventional counterparts. I have chosen these key areas of fintech to discuss with you guys today, and you will see each one of these could be a PhD topic, for example, could be a research paper, could be an investigation, and it's important as well for industry key players to understand the key areas of fintech nowadays. So we'll start with payment and digital currencies. We'll have a B2B and crowdfunding, robo-advisory and WM wealth management, insurtech, blockchain and DLT, open banking, RegTech, compliance, and financial inclusion. Starting with payment and digital currencies and money transfer, you can tell nowadays, guys, that there is massive shift from cash to digital methods, mobile wallets, contactless, online transfers, digital currency hitting the market now. For example, cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, all the forms which use blockchain technology for secure and decentralized transactions. Money transfer processes worldwide. We used to wait, I think, from 7 to 15 working days to transfer money from country to country. Nowadays, you can transfer it in a couple of minutes. And B2B platforms have played an important role now in money transfer and remittance services. Central bank digital currencies is important as well, representing and representation of fiat currencies by central banks. I was reading in the report recently by the US government that US government are preparing now to introduce a digital US dollar. So we may be facing a situation where there is no fiat currencies. These currencies that we are using nowadays will disappear and will be replaced by digital currencies worldwide, whether it's US dollar, whether it's euro, sterling, or other currencies. And this is by 2027, 2028 max. That's based on the report I have been reading or reviewing. B2B lending and crowdfunding is another area, and you can tell that fintech has disrupted the lending industry massively by introducing these platforms, online platforms, where they can connect borrowers and investors and lenders without the need for third parties like banks. And these platforms use advanced algorithms to access creditworthiness of their clients, and to review their history, their credit score, and to assist them financially, and to have a risk assessment without the need of the intermediary parties like financial services or financial institutions like banks. Crowdfunding is a very, very successful form of fintech as well, when you raise small amounts of money from large number of people, and this will fit perfectly with Sharia principle and with Islamic finance as well. And different types here are used, like donation, reward-based, equity, debt-based, and a lot. You can tell from these two, B2B and crowdfunding, that this model of fintech can democratize finance, providing effective control to access capital, community engagement, while distributing the traditional finance. Robo-advisory and wealth management, another area. And when we talk about robo-advisory, it uses algorithms like artificial intelligence, machine learning, for example, to provide automated investment advices. So risk tolerance, financial goals, unbiased data-driven advices, where we used to use human elements to give these advices. Now robo-advisory can replace the human contribution, human elements in providing these advices. Traditional wealth management provide personalized financial advices and mainly was focused on high net worth individuals. Nowadays, this might be different with the robo-advisory interaction with wealth management in fintech, where it democratized access to investment advices, broaden the range of investment option, lower the cost, for example, and making wealth management more accessible, not only to wealthy individuals, but to a wider range of stakeholders. InsurTech is very important and well growing, and simply it's the use of technology to transfer the insurance industry. You can tell areas like Internet of Things for risk assessment, blockchain and fraud detection, apps to claim management, using AI for personalized policies. And you can tell that the insurance industry generating currently $7 trillion in revenue, and is projected to reach 11.6 trillion by 2030. However, despite all these considerable revenues and opportunities and suboptimal customer services in the sector, the adoption of InsurTech represents only 0.3%. This is massive, huge opportunity for fintech companies, for investors to get into the InsurTech sector. And this will revolutionize the insurance industry, making it more efficient, illustrating the transformative power of fintech and traditional financial sectors. Blockchain, DLT. Blockchain is a technology, as you know, had been used a lot in supply chain management, in cryptocurrencies, which is a type of distributed ledger that stores data in linked blocks, offering transparency, immutability, decentralization. Cryptocurrencies, like I said, is a very good example where a smart contract and secure sharing records are obvious. But it offers a decentralized and secure ledger for recording financial transactions. While DLT, the distributed ledger technology, is a decentralized database managed by multiple participants, of which blockchain is one type of it. But you can imagine how blockchain shaking the economy, changing the use of everything in our daily life activities, from currencies to payments to online banking to wallets, payments, and smartphones. Open banking and APIs, application programming interface, is another area where open banking here refers to a system where banks and other financial institutions provide access to their data via APIs. Emirates MBD Bank, which I will discuss later on, they have a very successful API system, and it allows third parties to build new financial products and services without the need to interact with their clients. And APIs are a set of rules, protocols that allow different software applications to communicate and share their data with each other. And there's a huge application here, as open banking getting that millennials and young generation, they don't need to physically go to the banks. Open banking will provide a very good opportunity, as all the services can be done online. You don't have to have this physical interaction between yourself and a banker. RegTech and compliance. So fintech family is much bigger than you expect. So we have InsurTech, we have SupTech, which is supervisory tech, we have regulatory tech, which is RegTech, we have supervisory tech. So the involvement of tech into our activities have a much wider concept than the financial concept. So talking about RegTech is application of technologies to streamline and enhance regulatory processes. Monitoring for compliance, regulation, automating reporting, identifying financial crime, and compliance solution, for example, very important for anti-money laundering and know your clients issues, And for example, in the UK here, HMRC have automated the whole system. You are no longer in need to get in touch with somebody, as the whole system is electronic via internet. They are to provide as well apps where you can make complaints, where you can make requests, where you can request an update in your situation, updating your information all online. Financial inclusion is one of the most important areas nowadays, and it hits for the UN SDGs, it hits for green finance, it hits for and hit a number of boxes, where the role of fintech here can be crucial and obvious compared to other areas, where you can provide financial services for underserved population. Those people, like we said, 31% of the adults worldwide are unbanked. 70% of the whole world, including different age categories, are unbanked. So this means there are opportunities, massive opportunities here for financial sector, including fintech, including banks, conventional counterparts, to provide financial services for the underserved population, which will serve for SDGs, will serve for equality, diversity, and sustainability. Mobile banking played an important role in this. Digital payments, affordable lending, and insurance services to reach those people are all areas. I was thinking as well about the Islamic fintech and whether there are differences between the conventional side of fintech or the Islamic fintech. Obviously, there are some differences, but let me first of all give you a background about Islamic fintech. The industry is massive as well, huge, $79 billion back in 2021, and is projected to reach $179 billion by 2026. We have identified these areas based on recent research on areas where there are more opportunities within Islamic fintech compared to the conventional fintech. And the three key areas are leveraging big data, and the use of blockchain to facilitate the Islamic trade finance, and the use of artificial intelligence in facilitating investment, in particular addressing institutional investor needs. Back in 2020, UK came first with 28 Islamic fintech, above all other Muslim countries. Non-Muslim country hosting 28 Islamic fintech out of their number back in 2021. In 2022 statistics, Indonesia take the lead from the UK with 61 fintech. However, UK still above all other Muslim countries with 45 Islamic fintech. Emirates came third with 42, and KSA, Saudi Arabia, came fourth with 38. If you look to the recent news, based on the statistics and based on discussions, we talked about cryptocurrencies now, isn't it? And it's a massive, huge market. And whether we move from fiat currencies into digital currencies, or we consider and stick with those currencies, there is a huge market now for cryptocurrencies, and a lot of different types of currencies: Ethereum, Bitcoin, BAX, whatever the names is. Is those currencies halal? Is it permissible? Is it haram? This is a discussion currently ongoing. However, we have been hit by the news from Doha that Islamic scholar dismisses digital currencies as forbidden. And the International Union of Muslim Scholars said clearly that it's unpermissible. However, this is a question now, not for only scholars, but for industry key players. What about cryptocurrencies where they are asset-backed? For example, there is a cryptocurrency called back gold. And back gold is a cryptocurrency backed by gold, and considering gold as an asset to back the movement in the market for this one. What about if these cryptocurrencies are asset-backed? And the question is how we can make those cryptocurrencies Sharia principle and meet the Sharia laws to be permissible in Islamic finance. This is a very good area for investigation as well for PhD students or for other research types. So sustainable fintech ecosystem is very important for us. And in my point of view, should be a move and must be a move from focusing on individual fintechs that lead financial institution to differentiating themselves in the future to ensure that the focus is on long-term sustainability. But a very good question now, how sustainable fintech ecosystem can be developed? how we can build sustainable fintech ecosystem and what are the key drivers of this. What are the most sophisticated AI to date, artificial intelligence technology to date? I have come to a 13, based on my own research, key driver, successful, sustainable fintech to build that ecosystem. As you can see from the screen, this will include startups, fintech startups, future opportunities, innovation, customer experience, regulation. And when we come to regulation, this is a very rich area for research here. However, the only downside of this is the lack of data available to measure the regulatory part. However, it's a very good area when you have qualitative research or interviews or something, so you can measure how those fintech companies will be regulated compared to the conventional counterparts like banks, for example. Culture is very important in my point of view to differentiate different countries. So whatever you can offer as technological advances services to a country in Europe might be different from a country in Gulf, might be different from a country in South Asia or a country in Africa. Incentivization is very important, and how fintech can use their and incentivize their clients by providing some reward point system, for example, and give money back or something. Market segmentation, all these key drivers, we can speak about each one of them in a whole lecture if you want. So in my point of view, the future of sustainable fintech is imminent, and it is expected that the role of fintech in sustainable finance to continue expanding next couple of years, next 5 to 10 years on the long-term plan. And for the global fintech ecosystem remains key driver in the global economy, and the disruptive, innovative products and services they provide with digital transformation will continue in the thrive. It is a must as well to collaborate with other key players in the economy, like financial services, like big techs, like Alibaba, Amazon, all the big tech companies, Microsoft, for example. And fintech can help individuals choose more sustainable investments, not only for the UN SDGs, but for the ESG as well, the environmental, social, and governance preferences. And finally, fintech could enable the economy to provide investment products, services to fulfill customer sustainability and their needs, and the change patterns in their needs, considering investors' planned in a win-win strategy. I will quickly here review with you some case studies where we found some success stories. Wahid is a fintech company, originally in Singapore. They have branches in United Kingdom, in US, more recently in United Arab Emirates. They have introduced as well their EU platform and global platform, where they provide 4 categories in terms of their financial services in an Islamic way. So their global stocks is a portfolio diversified stock globally, where you can diversify the risk if you are looking for risk, and they have different patterns, which is very aggressive, and so on. So if you want to focus about one of the emerging markets only, like Asia, Africa, you have the emerging market stocks. If you want a fixed income, you have the Sukuk, which is Islamic bonds. And if you are thinking about more stable pattern, which is gold, which is known for their ability to hedge against inflation, and we are all facing huge inflation nowadays when it comes to the changes in the economy and the patterns, not only in Europe but America and worldwide. So gold is a very good investment indeed. So they provide a good example actually, and the Islamic fintech company. Onood is another insurance company in Qatar, where they provide various insurance services, from individual insurance, corporate insurance, health insurance, travel insurance. They provide as part of their personal insurance, travel insurance, motor insurance, which is car insurance, yacht insurance, and other things like SMEs, for example. The advantage forming the insurance industry, and they provide all the services via their app, where you can have access to get a quote, make a claim, contact customer services, update your information, everything through their app. AXA is another good example for green bonds. And when we talk about green finance, green bonds, from my point of view, that's the future. So when you're talking about green bonds, you're talking about underserved population, you're talking about low energy projects, you talk about affordable housing, you talk about preventing pollution. All these projects can provide a more sustainable, a more green investments, and banks are paying more attention to this nowadays. Kuwait Finance House Bahrain have launched the first automated reporting platform with collaboration with Code-Based Technologies, CBT, which is a leading global open API banking solution providers. This will change the whole idea around banking and how APIs can be used in banking. Like I said in my presentation as well, Emirates MBD, they provide the most successful API application programming interface. They can handle around 13 million API calls per day. And this system can shift the whole services. They can provide different services like opening a bank account, withdrawing money, transferring money, credit cards through their API system. Trine is a Swedish company, like I said at the beginning. They provide investments to sustainable solar energies, where they provide loans to support and to be invested in the solar energy projects in South America, in Africa, in South Asia as well. And from their point of view, it's a win-win-win policy where you can make profit by providing solar energies to people where they live in emerging markets. So my main takeaways from today will be as follows. We all agree that there is a necessary marriage between technology and sustainability, and between fintech and sustainable finance. Big tech, multinational financial institutions, there is a necessary partnership between them to meet their customer expectation, investors' plans, and so on. And building the technology to get more intelligent about your customers through digital transformation, which is shaking the economy nowadays, is very important as well. Fintech are the basis of sustainability-driven financing ecosystem and could support achieving the SDGs like 7, 8, and 13. Islamic fintech have massive opportunity to growth in blockchain, AI, big data. However, all this is subject to a huge support from key drivers such as government and regulatory bodies, which is, in my point of view, necessary. That's the end of it, and I would welcome any questions from your side. Thank you very much. Back to you, Dr. Ahmed.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hussein, for the presentation. It's very informative, and really, before I didn't like fintech at all, to be honest, yeah, صراحة. But after your presentation and for all the statistics that you offer us, that you provided us, actually I like it, and how you put the Islamic countries, the Saudi Arabia, Emirates, and other Islamic country. And I noticed that Saudi Arabia have a good rank of it. I think the third.
Fourth with 38, yeah.
Yeah, so it was good, and inshallah, hopefully it will be in a better rank in the future. It's obvious the Indonesia, it's always an Islamic country, or in multi other topics, mostly in Islamic. It's always the first one, always it's in Indonesia. Yeah, and also I want to thank you about the recommendations that you showed to us for the PhD student. It's really helpful, and also myself, it's very useful for me as well to read about the fintech more in these topics. Nowadays, Kuwait and also other countries, actually, we are focusing in fintechs. Also, I don't know if you know, before we have a lot of university offer finance. Nowadays, finance not anymore in those new universities, let's say. They change it to fintech and other big data, for example, majors. And before it was finance major. So I think this is the future. This is the future,
sure.
and this is what will be in the future. Let's see if Bilal or Zainab Hanan have any question. Dr. Zainab, Bilal. I think that's it, Dr. Hussein.
Actually, I may ask them a question, Dr. Ahmed, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go on.
So, in your point of view, how do you see fintech reshaping the economy? In other words, do you think there is a role of fintech compared to the financial sector industry, like banks, for example? Do you think how fintech can change the views of providing more advanced technological-based financial services? How can fintech, all these have the same answer, by the way, how fintech can reach unbanked population, like I said in my presentation. I was shocked myself when I read that 31% of adults worldwide are unbanked. This means we have a lot of fund hidden out of the financial sector.
Correct.
And the use of technology like mobile app, wallet payments, technological advances, cryptocurrencies, for example, and digital payments will facilitate the reach of these people and will facilitate a reach of this unbanked population. But in different countries, you have different views. In different countries, you have different population, you have different needs, you have different customer categories and customer patterns. So when you talk about Africa, it's different from Gulf, it's different from Asia, and different from South Asia, different from South America. So in my point of view, when you provide a specific technology-based services, you need to consider cultural differences in a specific area or a specific category, a specific age category, a specific country. So I'm not sure if you agree, disagree, but what is your views in, for example, how do you?
I think let's say after COVID-19.
Yeah, indeed.
I think COVID-19 it changed many countries, not just the financial and everything, but mainly in finance. COVID or fintech as well, mainly fintech. They change like many regulations happen, many policies that it's come on mainly in COVID-19. So I think COVID-19 to play a main role first of all.
Ahmed, when you talk about technology nowadays, I'm sure you've all heard about fingerprints, when you use your fingerprints to make payments, or voice recognition. In the UK now, when you call a bank, they don't ask anymore for a password.
Correct.
There is a phrase called "my voice is my password."
Right.
However, this is outdated as well, because they are using now Retina, which is your iris technology to recognize you or to identify you. They use a DNA and hand patterns, which is very advanced as well. So when you talk about technology, you talk about how technology can be used to facilitate and improve financial services. However, this will bring cybersecurity issues. As hackers, and cybersecurity is very important issue here, which I didn't touch in my presentation, but it's a completely different issue. But we need to be aware of the downside of technology, or what are the risks are expected to come with the technology, like cybersecurity, for example.
I totally agree with you, Professor Hussein. It's one side, it's very good, speed everything, and everything it's become quicker and more useful.
Accessible, low cost.
Yeah, exactly. I don't remember when the last time I went to the bank, for example. Everything now online and very easy. Mainly, as I said, mainly after COVID-19, because it's hit many companies also in Kuwait. I remember at that time, mostly who own the owners of companies, they are very old, like 70, 80 years old, 90 years old. They are, let's say, when we tell them like change your manual companies jobs and this stuff to online, they said no, we can't convert everything to online. after they lose many of their money, they they force themselves. They don't have any option after they change, and other companies, everything will become better. I have one of my PhD students from Algeria. They are doing comparative study also in fintech between Arab country and Algeria. Totally different, Doctor. Algeria, they don't have any of what we are saying. They don't have technology and this stuff as what she said to me until now.
I can confirm, Dr. Ahmed, that it's not a choice anymore. If any country is falling behind for a reason or another, I think it's not a choice anymore. When it comes to technology application, when you come to the application of fintech, with the movement from the world economy nowadays, I think it's not a choice anymore, and people have to react very fast. I believe COVID-19 have improved and increased the need for technology, but if you look to millennials and Z generation, even before COVID-19, those young generation, they don't care about physical face-to-face interaction. If you look to a little child nowadays, they know how to use iPhone, iPad more than or better than me and you. So it's a nature of the new generation. COVID-19 have improved it and increased the need of it, but I think it does exist even before COVID-19 for young generations.
Sure. But it's increasingly more, let's say, in COVID-19. Yeah. So I really like your presentation, Dr. Hussein. And as I said, before your presentation, I hate fintech. Okay. And after you presented, the introduction and, the statistics that, interested me in many areas that you showed us. Also in the recommendations for PhD students, also for the researchers in general. It's very useful. Also how important fintech nowadays, and how it's affect companies, investors, owners, board members, and countries in general nowadays. I think fintech, it's a good topic, and
providing a lot of opportunities in the future, definitely, not only for researchers and PhD students, but for those who wants to build a business, small business, for example, in a specific country, work collaboratively with one of the financial institutions as well. It's a massive opportunity in my point of view.
I want to thank you again, Professor Hussein, and also I want to apologize for the technical issue in the beginning. Sorry, the auto updated in my computer make the delay of your presentation.
It was my pleasure, Dr. Ahmed, all the time. My pleasure.
Thank you so much. We really like the presentation, and thank you for your effort and for your time as well. Inshallah, waiting for other series of lectures that will help the students in areas of literature, methodology, or some those area that will help a lot of the early stage of PhD and master students. Thank you again, Doctor, inshallah, and see you, inshallah.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Thank you. And thanks for colleagues who attended. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.